I'm so glad you found your way here. Your brain is clearing toxic proteins right now while you rest, sweeping away the day's cellular debris like a quiet night crew. You'll discover where consciousness goes when you sleep and understand why your mind needs darkness to truly heal. Welcome to Get Sleepy Science. Now settle in. You're in your safe space while your brain quietly repairs itself, clearing waste proteins. Preparing for tomorrow, allow yourself this moment of peace. We'll journey through 100 sleepy science facts about consciousness and sleep, from the moment awareness fades at night's edge, to how your brain decides what to remember, to the bridge between waking and dreaming worlds. This thoughtful journey through consciousness builds bridges between searching minds. A soft like or sharing your thoughts creates a pathway for more seekers to discover this sanctuary of calm. One sleepy soul at a time. Your healing journey inspires ours. Let yourself settle completely here. Feel your jaw unclench, your breath deepen naturally. You can let these thoughts drift past without holding them. Sense that soothing heaviness enveloping you, like your consciousness slowly dimming its brightness. Thoughts dissolving into the peaceful fog of approaching sleep. Safe and welcome. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You're floating where memories rest safely in gentle darkness. Let your mind merge with infinite peace. And now we begin. Consciousness is the universe experiencing itself through you. At this very moment, billions of neurons in your brain are firing in synchronized patterns, creating the seamless experience you call being awake. According to research published in Nature Neuroscience in 2024, consciousness emerges from the coordinated activity of networks spanning your entire brain, not from any single region. When you read these words, light hits your retinas, triggering electrical signals that travel through multiple brain regions, getting interpreted, compared to memories, and woven into your ongoing sense of self. You feel like one unified person. But you're actually experiencing the output of countless separate processes working in harmony. Scientists call this the binding problem. How separate streams of information become one seamless experience. Think about right now. You're aware of these words. Perhaps sounds around you. The feeling of your body resting. All at once. That unified awareness is consciousness at work. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's energy, despite being only 2% of your body weight. Even as you lie here reading this, approximately 20 watts of power, about the same as a dim light bulb, courses through the 3 pounds of tissue inside your skull. Recent studies from Stanford University in late 2024 show that conscious thinking requires significantly more energy than unconscious processing. When you're actively problem-solving or learning something new, certain brain regions can increase their energy consumption by up to 50%. This is why mental work feels exhausting, even though you haven't moved. Your coworker who complains about being tired after a day of meetings isn't exaggerating. Their brain genuinely burned through calories processing conversations, making decisions, and maintaining focus. Sleep, interestingly, only reduces brain energy use by about 15%. Your mind never truly rests. Sleep isn't the absence of consciousness. It's a different form of it. Dr. Matthew Walker's research team at UC Berkeley, publishing findings through 2024, demonstrates that sleep involves multiple distinct states of awareness. During the night, Your brain cycles through stages, each with unique patterns of consciousness. In light sleep, you remain somewhat aware of your surroundings. You might hear a door close or feel someone enter the room. In deep sleep, external awareness fades, but your brain becomes intensely active internally, consolidating memories and clearing metabolic waste. Then there's REM sleep, where consciousness blooms into vivid, bizarre dreams. You've experienced this journey thousands of times without realizing how complex it is. Tonight, as you drift off, you won't disappear. You'll transition through several forms of being, each serving crucial purposes. Consciousness doesn't switch off like a light. It transforms, like water changing states. The exact moment you fall asleep is invisible to you. Researchers at Massachusetts General Hospital studied this transition in 2024 using advanced brain imaging, finding that there's no single instant when waking becomes sleeping. Instead, different brain regions fall asleep at slightly different times, creating a gradual fade rather than a sharp boundary. You might remember lying in bed, then suddenly it's morning. That gap feels instantaneous, but in reality, you passed through a twilight zone called hypnagogia, where parts of your brain were asleep while others remained partially aware. This is why you sometimes experience strange, fleeting thoughts or images just before sleep. Fragments of dreams bleeding into waking consciousness. You can't catch the exact moment because the you that would notice is already dissolving. It's like trying to watch yourself disappear. Your brain produces special waves that scientists can measure and classify. Beta waves dominate when you're alert and focused. Like right now, reading this. They oscillate 15 to 30 times per second, fast and energetic. Alpha waves emerge when you relax with eyes closed, slowing to 8 to 14 cycles per second. Calmer, like gentle rolling hills instead of choppy seas. Theta waves appear during light sleep and deep meditation, even slower at 4 to 8 cycles per second. Finally, delta waves characterize deep sleep, the slowest at 0.5 to 4 cycles per second, like the deep breathing of the earth itself. In 2024, neuroscientists at Johns Hopkins discovered these waves don't just reflect brain states. They actively coordinate memory formation and emotional processing. The rhythm of your consciousness has measurable music. Every night, you temporarily become paralyzed. During REM sleep, the stage where vivid dreams occur, your brainstem sends signals that effectively disconnect your muscles from motor commands. This paralysis protects you from acting out dreams. Imagine dreaming you're running and actually getting up to sprint across your bedroom. The mechanism, called REM atonia, typically works perfectly, but sometimes it fails. People with REM sleep behavior disorder physically act out dreams, sometimes injuring themselves or partners. Research published in Sleep Medicine in late 2024 shows this condition can be an early warning sign of certain neurological conditions, appearing years before other symptoms. Conversely, sometimes the paralysis lingers too long after waking. Sleep paralysis, leaving you conscious but unable to move for terrifying seconds or minutes. You've trusted your brain to paralyze and release you thousands of times without thinking about it. Consciousness might extend beyond your skull, the global workspace theory, updated by researchers in 2024, suggests that consciousness emerges when information becomes globally available across many brain regions simultaneously. But some neuroscientists now wonder if consciousness could involve quantum processes, electromagnetic fields extending slightly beyond neurons, or even information patterns that exist somewhat independently of physical brain matter. This remains highly speculative, but it's fascinating to consider. When you have a conversation, are you two separate consciousnesses, or does something emerge between you? A shared understanding that briefly exists in the space connecting minds, when you finish someone's sentence or feel what they're feeling. Perhaps you're glimpsing hints of consciousness as a phenomenon that reaches beyond individual brains, connecting through language, culture, and shared experience. You're conscious of only a tiny fraction of what your brain processes. Imagine an iceberg. The tip above water represents conscious awareness, while the massive bulk below represents unconscious processing. Studies using eye-tracking technology in 2024 reveal your eyes take in millions of bits of information every second. But your conscious mind processes only about 40 to 50 bits per second. Right now, your brain is regulating your heartbeat, breathing, digestion, immune responses, and thousands of other processes, all without bothering your conscious mind. It's filtering sensory input, deciding what deserves attention. You don't consciously notice the feeling of clothes on your skin until someone mentions it. Your unconscious mind is like a vast, silent crew working beneath the deck of a ship, while your conscious awareness is the captain on the bridge, seeing only selected reports. Sleep deprivation literally changes your consciousness. After just one night of poor sleep, your brain begins operating differently. Research from the University of Pennsylvania's Sleep Center in 2024 shows that missing sleep causes temporary cognitive impairment, similar to being legally intoxicated. Your reaction times slow, judgment becomes impaired, and emotional regulation falters. You've probably experienced this. After a terrible night's sleep, everything feels slightly off. Colors seem duller. Tasks take longer. Small frustrations feel overwhelming. What's happening is that sleep-deprived neurons fire more slowly and less synchronously. The networks that create your normal consciousness become sluggish and uncoordinated, like an orchestra where musicians are playing slightly out of sync. Chronic sleep deprivation can even cause brief microsleeps, seconds where you're effectively unconscious while appearing awake, staring blankly. Your sense of time depends on consciousness state. Time seems to speed up or slow down based on attention and arousal. When you're engaged in something fascinating, hours vanish like minutes. When you're bored, minutes stretch like hours. During sleep, time disappears entirely. 8 hours pass in what feels like an instant. Neuroscientists at MIT discovered in 2024 that the brain has no single clock. Instead, different regions track time using different mechanisms. Your hippocampus creates episodic time, stringing memories into sequences. Your basal ganglia generate motor timing for movements. Your prefrontal cortex estimates durations for planning. When these systems are disrupted by sleep deprivation, illness, or extreme stress, time perception warps. You've noticed this. When exhausted, you might completely lose track of whether something happened today or yesterday. Dreams are consciousness, untethered from reality testing. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex, your brain's logic and reality checking center, becomes relatively quiet, while emotional and visual regions surge with activity. This creates the bizarre logic of dreams where you accept impossible situations as normal. You might dream you're flying, or that your childhood home has rooms that never existed, and it doesn't seem strange until you wake. Research published in Current Biology in 2024 reveals that during dreams, your brain is actually practicing responses to emotional scenarios, processing fears, desires, and memories in creative combinations. The average person dreams for about 2 hours per night across multiple REM periods, experiencing 5 to 7 distinct dreams, though most are forgotten within minutes of waking. Each dream is consciousness exploring itself, freed from the constraints of physical reality. Meditation can alter your brain's structure and function permanently. Long-term meditators show measurable changes in brain regions associated with attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness. A 2024 Harvard Medical School study using MRI scans found that just 8 weeks of daily meditation practice increases gray matter density in the hippocampus and decreases it in the amygdala, the fear center. This isn't just philosophical. It's physical transformation of consciousness hardware. People who meditate regularly report feeling more present, less reactive, and more aware of their own thought processes. You're essentially training consciousness to observe itself, creating a strange loop where awareness becomes aware of awareness. This metacognition, thinking about thinking, represents consciousness at its most sophisticated, able to reflect on its own nature. Consciousness emerges gradually in human development. Newborn babies aren't born with full consciousness. They're born with the raw materials. During the first years of life, consciousness unfolds in stages as brain connections multiply. By age 2, a child develops self-recognition, understanding that the face in the mirror is themselves. By age 4, theory of mind emerges, realizing other people have their own thoughts and feelings different from theirs. Research from Yale's Child Study Center in 2024 shows that consciousness continues developing through adolescence as the prefrontal cortex matures. Teenagers aren't just being dramatic when they say they're figuring out who they are. Their consciousness is literally still under construction. You don't remember most of your early childhood because the you that would remember didn't exist yet. Memory requires self-awareness. Anesthesia doesn't put your brain to sleep. It disrupts consciousness in stranger ways. For decades, doctors assumed anesthesia worked like deep sleep. But brain imaging studies in 2024 reveal it's completely different. General anesthetics disrupt communication between brain regions, fragmenting the networks that create unified consciousness. Your individual brain areas might still be active, but they can't coordinate their activity into coherent awareness. It's like a country where every city keeps functioning, but all roads between them are closed. No unified nation can emerge. This explains why some patients experience anesthesia awareness, trapped in partially conscious states during surgery, hearing conversations, but unable to move or signal. The complete mystery of how chemicals can switch consciousness on and off remains one of neuroscience's deepest puzzles. You experience hundreds of microgaps in consciousness daily without noticing. Saccades. The rapid movements your eyes make when scanning a scene temporarily suppress visual processing. During these fraction of a second jumps, you're functionally blind. Yet you never notice the interruptions. Your brain cleverly edits reality, stitching together a seamless visual experience from snapshots separated by darkness. Similarly, you experience brief attention lapses, mental wandering, and momentary absences where you're technically conscious but not aware of specific moments. This is why you sometimes arrive home with no memory of the drive, or finish reading a page and realize you didn't absorb any words. Research from UC San Diego in 2024 calls these attention blinks. Moments where consciousness is present, but awareness is pointed inward rather than outward. Your experience of continuous awareness is actually a carefully constructed illusion. Sleep clears physical waste from your brain. The glymphatic system, discovered in 2012 and intensively studied through 2024, is a waste clearance system that becomes 10 times more active during sleep. As you sleep, brain cells actually shrink slightly, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flush through spaces between neurons, washing away accumulated proteins and metabolic debris. Think of it like street cleaning that can only happen when traffic stops. Among the waste cleared is beta amyloid, a protein that accumulates in Alzheimer's disease. This might explain why chronic sleep deprivation increases dementia risk. When you wake feeling mentally clear after good sleep, you're not imagining it. Your brain is literally cleaner. Toxins removed. Networks refreshed. Each night, sleep performs maintenance that consciousness itself cannot accomplish. You need unconsciousness to maintain consciousness. Consciousness might be the brain's user interface, not the underlying reality. Dr. Donald Hoffman's research, discussed extensively in 2024 cognitive science literature, proposes that consciousness evolved not to show us objective reality, but to show us a simplified, useful interface. Like desktop icons hiding complex computer code. Just as you don't need to see circuit boards and code to use a computer, you don't need to perceive quantum fields and electromagnetic waves to navigate the world. Your consciousness shows you objects and colors because that's evolutionarily useful, not because that's what's really there. This radical idea suggests that when you look at a tree, you're seeing a species-specific icon, not the thing itself. Consciousness might be nature's most elegant simplification system. Some people remain conscious during surgery despite general anesthesia awareness, affecting roughly 1 or 2 out of every 1,000 patients, according to 2024 data. Involves being conscious but paralyzed during medical procedures. Patients report hearing conversations, feeling sensations, experiencing concern, but being completely unable to signal they're aware. The experience can feel unsettling and may stay with some patients. Understanding that it's a known medical phenomenon, though uncommon, can bring reassurance. This rare phenomenon reveals how fragile the boundary between consciousness and unconsciousness really is. It also raises profound questions. If you're aware but cannot move, speak, or create memories that last after the drugs wear off, were you really conscious? Some patients retain memories, others don't. Does consciousness without memory still count as consciousness? These edge cases force us to question what consciousness fundamentally is. Your mood tomorrow depends on your sleep tonight. REM sleep, particularly the late cycle REM that happens in early morning hours, processes emotional memories and recalibrates your emotional responses. Research from UC Berkeley's Walker Lab, published in 2024, shows that REM sleep deprivation makes people 40% more emotionally reactive to negative stimuli the next day. You've experienced this. After poor sleep, small annoyances feel catastrophic. Sad things feel devastating. And you might cry at commercials. Your emotional thermostat is miscalibrated. During healthy REM sleep, your brain literally softens the emotional charge of memories. Like a therapist helping you gain perspective, dreams might be disturbing or strange, but they're processing yesterday's experiences, deciding what to file away and what to emotionally integrate. Consciousness exists on a spectrum, not as binary on-off. Neurologist Adrian Owen's work with minimally conscious patients, updated through 2024, reveals people who appear completely unresponsive may retain islands of awareness, using fMRI brain scans. Researchers asked vegetative state patients to imagine playing tennis or walking through their house, activities that activate distinct brain regions. 15 to 20% showed appropriate brain activity, suggesting some form of consciousness trapped in unresponsive bodies. This raises heartbreaking questions about who we've assumed isn't there. It also shows consciousness isn't all or nothing. Between fully awake and completely unconscious lies a spectrum. Drowsy, dreaming, sedated, delirious, minimally conscious. You travel this spectrum nightly, passing through states where you exist but differently. Awareness dimmed but not extinguished. Consciousness present but transformed. Déjà vu is a glitch in your consciousness software. That eerie feeling that you've lived this exact moment before happens when your brain's memory systems misfire slightly. According to 2024 research from Colorado State University, déjà vu occurs when your familiarity detection system activates without accompanying actual memory. It's like your brain saying, "I know this place," without any file to support that claim. The hippocampus, which creates and retrieves memories, sometimes sends false positive signals. Most people experience déjà vu occasionally, especially when tired or stressed. When consciousness operates less reliably, some neurological conditions cause frequent déjà vu, revealing how your sense of familiar versus novel is actively constructed by your brain every moment. Your consciousness decides whether now feels like a first experience or a return. Children need more sleep than adults because consciousness is still building itself. Infants sleep 16 to 18 hours daily, not just for physical growth, but because their brains are forming the neural connections that will eventually create mature consciousness. During sleep, a child's brain prunes unnecessary synapses and strengthens important ones, sculpting the networks that enable thought, emotion, and self-awareness. Teenagers need 8 to 10 hours despite often getting less, partly because adolescent brains undergo massive reorganization. The National Sleep Foundation's 2024 guidelines emphasize that sleep deprivation during youth isn't just about being tired. It's about disrupting consciousness formation itself. When a teenager says they literally can't focus in first period class, they're experiencing a brain that hasn't completed its developmental transitions without adequate sleep. Your consciousness creates your body image, which can be hacked. The rubber hand illusion, studied extensively through 2024, demonstrates this beautifully. Researchers stroke a rubber hand and your hidden real hand simultaneously. After a few minutes, your brain starts experiencing the rubber hand as your own. People will flinch if someone threatens the fake hand. Your sense of embodiment, the feeling of inhabiting your body, is constructed by your consciousness based on sensory input. When input becomes confusing, consciousness makes its best guess, sometimes incorrectly. This is why amputees feel phantom limbs. Consciousness maintains a body map even when parts are missing. It's why you can feel your phone vibrating in your pocket when it isn't there. Your sense of where you are located in space is a story your consciousness tells based on available evidence. Sleep position affects your dreams. Studies from Hong Kong, Yan University, confirmed by 2024 research, found that people who sleep on their stomachs report more sexual and persecutory dreams than back or side sleepers. The theory is that stomach sleeping creates subtle pressure and breathing restriction that your dreaming mind incorporates into narratives. Similarly, sleeping in cold rooms produces dreams about cold environments or exposure. Your consciousness during dreams remains tethered to your physical body, weaving external sensations into internal narratives. This is why alarm clocks often get incorporated into dreams as sirens or bells before waking you. Your dreaming mind is constantly monitoring your sleeping body, translating physical sensations into symbolic story elements. Consciousness never fully detaches from the flesh. You possess multiple layers of consciousness simultaneously. At the deepest level, your brainstem maintains basic arousal and wakefulness. Without it, no consciousness exists at all. Above that, your limbic system generates emotional consciousness. Feelings arise before you think about them. Your cortex creates thinking consciousness, language, planning, reasoning. Your prefrontal cortex enables self-reflective consciousness, awareness of your awareness. Right now, all these layers operate together. You feel tired. Notice you feel tired. Think about what tiredness means, and observe yourself thinking about being tired. Brain injury can damage specific layers while leaving others intact, creating people who feel but can't think, or think but can't feel. Your unified sense of I emerges from this layered architecture working in concert. Let's pause here and notice your body. As you breathe out slowly, appreciate each tiny cell inside. Trillions of organisms working in silence, heart beating, lungs breathing, brain thinking, all without your command. Notice the gentle sensations on your skin, in your muscles, along your spine. You are a complete ecosystem, diverse, self-balancing, healing itself while you simply exist here. Your consciousness rides on this living foundation, emerging from flesh and blood and chemistry. Let your awareness sink into your body. Feel the weight, the warmth, the quiet hum of life maintaining itself. Now we continue. Caffeine doesn't give you energy. It blocks your tiredness signals. Throughout the day, a molecule called adenosine builds up in your brain as a byproduct of neural activity. Adenosine binding to receptors creates the feeling of tiredness, signaling it's time to sleep. Caffeine molecules are shaped similarly enough to adenosine that they fit into the same receptors, blocking adenosine from attaching. You don't feel tired not because you're actually more energized, but because the tiredness message can't get through. This is why caffeine crashes happen. when caffeine wears off. All that accumulated adenosine floods your receptors at once. According to 2024 research from Johns Hopkins, caffeine's half-life is 5 to 6 hours, meaning that afternoon coffee is still affecting your sleep at midnight. Consciousness persists during certain dreamless sleep stages. Research published in 2024 challenges the old assumption that non-REM sleep lacks consciousness entirely. When researchers wake people during deep, non-REM sleep and ask immediately what they were experiencing, about 70% report some form of thought. Not vivid dreams, but vague thinking, fragments of concepts, wordless concerns. It's consciousness operating in a different mode, abstract, non-narrative, often hard to describe upon waking. Think of it like the difference between watching a movie and sitting quietly with a feeling you can't quite name. Consciousness doesn't vanish during deep sleep. It becomes formless, diffuse, like smoke rather than fire. Your brain rehearses the next day while you sleep. Studies using brain imaging in 2024 show that during sleep, neural patterns from daytime learning reactivate and consolidate. If you practice piano during the day, those same motor patterns replay in your motor cortex during sleep, strengthening the neural pathways. This is why sleeping on it actually improves performance. Students who study and then sleep perform better on tests than those who study and stay awake. Athletes improve skills overnight. Your consciousness might be offline, but your unconscious brain is practicing, integrating, refining. When you wake with sudden insight about a problem, your sleeping brain was working on it, exploring solutions below the threshold of awareness. Consciousness can split in dramatic ways. People who've had their corpus callosum severed, the bundle of fibers connecting brain hemispheres, sometimes done to treat severe epilepsy, develop what appears to be two separate consciousnesses. Each hemisphere can know things the other doesn't, want different things, even disagree. In famous experiments, when words are shown only to the right hemisphere, which lacks language in most people, the patient can't say what they saw, but their left hand can point to it. Two awarenesses, one body. This reveals that the unified consciousness you experience might be more like a coalition government than a single ruler. Your sense of being one person is an achievement, not a given. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin more than other wavelengths. Your eyes contain special photoreceptors called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells that detect blue light and signal to your brain's circadian clock. Evening exposure to blue wavelength light from phones, tablets, computers, LED lights tells your brain it's still daytime, suppressing melatonin production and delaying sleep onset. 2024 research from Harvard Medical School shows that 2 hours of blue light exposure before bed can delay sleep by 90 minutes. This isn't just correlation. It's direct photochemical interaction affecting consciousness state transitions. Those night mode settings on devices genuinely help. Warm, dim lighting in the evening literally tells your brain it's time to prepare for unconsciousness. Some people are conscious during sleep in unusual ways. Lucid dreaming, knowing you're dreaming while still in the dream, occurs in many people at least once, with some experiencing it regularly, according to survey research. During lucid dreams, the prefrontal cortex shows higher activity than normal REM sleep, creating a hybrid state. You're asleep and dreaming, but partially aware and sometimes able to control the dream narrative. Researchers have even established two-way communication with lucid dreamers, asking math questions with eye movements as answers. This demonstrates that consciousness isn't binary. You can be asleep yet aware, dreaming yet rational, experiencing multiple states simultaneously. Your consciousness has a rhythm tied to Earth's rotation, the circadian system. Your internal 24-hour clock regulates not just sleep and wake, but also body temperature, hormone release, hunger, and even cognitive performance. Studies show that most people's prefrontal cortex functions optimally in late morning and early afternoon, regardless of whether you're a morning person. Problem-solving, decision-making, and focused attention peak during certain circadian windows. This is managed by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny brain region containing about 20,000 neurons. Without environmental cues, this clock runs slightly longer than 24 hours. Humans in isolation tend toward a 24.2-hour rhythm, requiring daily light exposure to synchronize with Earth's actual rotation. Consciousness may continue briefly during cardiac arrest. Recent research on resuscitation, including a 2024 study from NYU Langone, explores the timeline of brain activity during medical emergencies. Some survivors report awareness during periods when standard monitors showed minimal activity. Scientists continue investigating whether brief neural patterns might persist unmeasured, or if memory formation occurs during recovery phases. The boundary between measurable brain activity and reported experience remains an active area of careful study. While interpretations vary, the data suggests the transition between conscious and unconscious states may be more gradual than current technology can fully measure. These findings remind us how much remains to learn about consciousness itself. Sleep deprivation affects consciousness similarly to intoxication. Research suggests that after 17 hours awake, cognitive performance may become impaired substantially. After 24 hours awake, the effects intensify significantly, yet people dramatically underestimate their impairment. A 2024 AAA Foundation study found drowsy driving causes more crashes than previously thought because tired drivers experience microsleeps, brief lapses into unconsciousness, lasting 2 to 3 seconds. Without awareness, it's happening. Imagine being unconscious while driving 70 miles per hour. In 3 seconds, you travel over 300 feet with no one in control. Your consciousness can flicker like a failing bulb, creating danger you don't even perceive. You dream in all sleep stages, but differently. REM dreams are vivid, bizarre, emotionally intense. The dreams you remember. But non-REM dreams are subtle, thought-like, often mundane. You might dream you're thinking about work or planning tomorrow, without visual imagery. Research from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 2024 shows that dream content reflects the sleep stage's function. REM integrates emotional experiences through surreal narratives, while non-REM consolidates factual knowledge through abstract processing. So every night, you experience two kinds of consciousness-like states: the wild theater of REM and the quiet contemplation of non-REM. Together, they process your entire existence, sorting facts from feelings, integrating day into memory. Consciousness emerges from chaos, The brain's default state isn't quiet. It's noisy, with spontaneous neural activity. Consciousness arises when this chaos becomes organized into patterns. Researchers studying brain dynamics in 2024 found that healthy consciousness exists at the edge between order and disorder, what complexity scientists call the edge of chaos. Too much order, like during certain seizures, and consciousness becomes rigid and impaired. Too much disorder, like under anesthesia, and consciousness vanishes. The sweet spot is dynamic balance, structured enough for coherent thought, flexible enough for creativity. This is why both sensory deprivation and sensory overload impair consciousness. You need the right amount of pattern in the noise. Your brain creates time delays you never notice. When you clap your hands, the sound and the sight of your hands meeting seem perfectly synchronized, but sound travels much slower than light. And processing sound takes longer than processing vision. Your brain holds the faster visual information briefly, waiting for the slower auditory input, then presents both as simultaneous. This happens constantly. Consciousness is always slightly delayed. Experiencing a past, it presents as present. Benjamin Libet's famous experiments, revisited in 2024 research, show that your brain decides to act about half a second before you consciously decide. Consciousness might be a narrator reporting decisions already made, not the decision maker itself. Sleep makes you more creative. REM sleep in particular enhances cognitive flexibility and associative thinking. Studies from 2024 show that problems solved after a full night's sleep with REM are solved with more creative solutions than problems solved after staying awake or sleeping only non-REM portions. Your dreaming brain makes connections your waking mind wouldn't, linking memories from different times, combining concepts from separate domains, finding patterns invisible to conscious logic. Musicians, writers, scientists report breakthrough insights upon waking. It's not mystical. It's your brain freed from logical constraints, trying unusual combinations, exploring mental spaces that conscious thought judges too quickly. Consciousness needs time off to think outside its own rules. Chronic pain alters consciousness itself. People living with persistent pain show measurable changes in brain networks associated with self-awareness and emotion. Pain intrudes constantly into consciousness, making it difficult to focus on anything else. 2024 research from Stanford's Pain Lab shows that chronic pain shrinks the hippocampus and alters prefrontal cortex function, affecting memory and decision-making. It's not weakness or drama. Pain physically reorganizes the brain. This is why pain relief is so important. It's not just about comfort, but about preserving normal consciousness. When pain monopolizes attention, the space for other experiences, joy, curiosity, connection, diminishes. Consciousness becomes defined by suffering rather than exploring possibilities. You possess mirror neurons that blur the boundary between self and other. When you watch someone smile, the same neurons fire as when you smile yourself. This neural mirroring creates empathy. You literally simulate others' experiences in your own brain. Discovered in the 1990s and studied intensively through 2024, mirror neurons suggest consciousness isn't entirely private. When you watch someone suffer, your pain networks activate. When you see someone triumph, Your reward systems light up. This is why movies make you cry. Why yawning is contagious. Why you flinch when someone else gets hurt. Your consciousness doesn't just observe the world. It resonates with it, blurring the line between me experiencing and you experiencing. You're still here with me. Thoughts still flickering like candlelight. Just notice. Don't judge. Just notice where your mind is. We're exploring consciousness itself. The very thing doing the exploring right now. Strange, beautiful, and perfectly calm. Let's drift onward together. Your personality changes with sleep deprivation. After poor sleep, people score higher on neuroticism tests and lower on conscientiousness and agreeableness. You become literally less yourself. The prefrontal cortex, seat of impulse control and emotional regulation, functions poorly without adequate rest. This explains why tired people snap at loved ones, make impulsive purchases, or say things they regret. It's not moral failure. It's biological necessity. A 2024 meta-analysis shows that consistent sleep helps maintain stable personality traits, your character, your values, your typical responses. These emerge from a well-rested brain. Sleep doesn't just restore your body, it restores who you are. Dreams sometimes solve problems consciousness couldn't. Auguste Kekule discovered benzene's ring structure after dreaming of a snake eating its tail. Dmitry Mendeleev dreamed the periodic tables organization. These aren't myths. They're examples of dreaming consciousness, accessing solutions through visual spatial thinking, unavailable to verbal logical waking thought. Your brain during REM makes connections across domains, ignores conventional categories, and explores possibilities without immediate judgment. It's like a researcher who can access the entire library at once instead of one section at a time. When you wake with an answer that seemed impossible yesterday, thank your dreaming mind for thinking sideways. Consciousness requires energy management. Your brain rations attention like a budget, spending cognitive resources where they're most needed. This is why multitasking degrades performance. You're dividing limited attention, not truly doing two things simultaneously. Research from 2024 using brain imaging shows that switching between tasks creates a metabolic cost, temporarily depleting glucose in prefrontal regions. This depletion impairs decision-making, creates mental fatigue, and increases errors. After intense concentration, you genuinely need rest. Not weakness, but biology. Your consciousness operates with finite resources. Understanding this can create self-compassion. Being tired isn't failure. It's your brain signaling resource depletion, requesting the restoration that only rest provides. Some meditation practices can induce altered consciousness states, indistinguishable from psychedelic experiences. Long-term meditators practicing specific techniques report profound unity experiences, ego dissolution, and visual phenomena similar to those caused by psilocybin. According to 2024 research from Johns Hopkins, the brain states match to decreased default mode network activity, increased global connectivity. This suggests consciousness can access extraordinary states without external chemicals. Using only attention and breath, you have neural pathways capable of profound transformation. Accessible through practice, the ordinary consciousness you inhabit isn't the only option. Other modes exist. waiting beneath the surface. Accessible through systematic training. Your brain predicts the future constantly. Consciousness isn't experiencing now. It's experiencing your brain's best prediction about what's happening. Updated continuously as new sensory data arrives. When predictions match reality, experience flows smoothly. When predictions fail, you consciously notice. This is why unexpected events grab attention. They violate predictions. It's why magic tricks astound. They exploit prediction errors. Research from 2024 shows the brain is essentially a prediction machine, using past patterns to anticipate future moments. You're not seeing reality directly. You're seeing your brain's educated guess about reality, refined millisecond by millisecond. Consciousness is controlled hallucination, constrained by sensory feedback. Sleep architecture changes across your lifespan. Infants spend 50% of sleep in REM. Adults only 20 to 25%. Deep sleep peaks in childhood and declines steadily through adulthood. By age 60, deep sleep is significantly reduced. This isn't pathological. It's normal aging. Your consciousness needs different support at different life stages. Children's developing brains need more REM for neural growth. Adults need balanced sleep for maintenance. Older adults sleep more lightly, waking more easily. Perhaps because deep sleep's restorative functions become less critical. Your relationship with consciousness and unconsciousness evolves throughout life, adapting to changing needs. Consciousness can be measured mathematically. Neuroscientist Giulio Tononi's integrated information theory, refined through 2024, proposes that consciousness correlates with a brain's phi value, a number representing how much information is integrated across the system. High phi means rich consciousness. Low phi means minimal awareness. This theory predicts that simple systems have near zero phi. Healthy adult brains have high phi, and dreamless sleep has lower phi than waking. While controversial, this approach offers something radical, a way to quantify consciousness, potentially measuring awareness in AI systems, brain-injured patients, or even non-human animals. Consciousness might not be mysterious forever. Your gut bacteria influence your consciousness. The gut-brain axis, the communication highway between digestive system and brain, affects mood, anxiety, and cognition. 90% of serotonin, a neurotransmitter affecting mood and sleep, is produced in the gut. Studies from 2024 show that altering gut microbiome composition can improve or impair anxiety and depression symptoms. What you eat feeds bacteria that produce compounds affecting your brain chemistry. Your consciousness emerges not just from your skull but from your entire body, including the trillion bacteria inhabiting your intestines. You're not one consciousness. You're an ecosystem of influences creating unified experience. Consciousness might be the universe's way of knowing itself. Cosmologist Carl Sagan said humans are star stuff, contemplating stars. Every atom in you formed in stellar cores billions of years ago. Through biological evolution, matter organized itself into forms capable of reflecting on their origins. You are the universe experiencing itself from one particular viewpoint among billions. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's literal truth. The same quantum fields that exist in deep space exist in your neurons. The same physical laws governing galaxies govern your thoughts. When you look at the night sky, you're made of stars looking back at themselves. Halfway through our journey, the answer is emerging. Consciousness and sleep aren't opposites. They're partners. Each makes the other possible. Consciousness needs sleep to reset, clear waste, consolidate memories, and restore resources. Sleep needs consciousness to give it purpose. Experiences worth processing, memories worth keeping, emotions worth integrating. You can't have vibrant waking awareness without restorative unconsciousness. You can't have restorative sleep without daytime experiences to process. They're two phases of a single cycle, like breathing in and breathing out. Fighting sleep fights half your nature. Embracing both states embraces wholeness. Let that understanding settle gently now. Take a slow breath and realize time is yours. A separate stream only you are living, while the vast universe continues to spin, expand, change. This second you're breathing, listening, belongs only to you. Think of all the moments you've lived, all stored somehow in the web of neurons behind your eyes. Every choice, every sensation, every thought, collected like photographs in an album only you can access. Right now, in this present moment, you're adding another page. Cherish it. This particular configuration of awareness, you, here, now, will never exist exactly this way again. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only now is real. And we continue drifting through what's real. You can be conscious, but unable to act. Locked-in syndrome, caused by brainstem damage, leaves people fully aware but paralyzed except for eye movements. They think, feel, remember, and experience everything, trapped in unresponsive bodies. Tragically, some have been misdiagnosed as vegetative for years before someone noticed their conscious eye movements. Jean-Dominique Bauby, a French editor, wrote an entire memoir using only eye blinks after a stroke left him locked in. His book, The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, describes consciousness continuing perfectly while the body becomes a prison. It reminds us, consciousness and movement are separate. Awareness doesn't require the ability to demonstrate awareness. Sleep talking reveals your dreaming content. About 5% of adults regularly talk in their sleep, often speaking coherent sentences related to current dream narratives. Research from 2024 found that sleep speech mostly consists of negative or profane language, perhaps because dreams process stressful or emotional content. The speech usually comes from REM sleep, when muscle paralysis is incomplete. Your conscious brain remains offline, unable to edit or filter. So whatever the dream-generating system produces gets vocalized directly. It's like overhearing your unconscious mind's unfiltered thoughts. Most sleep talk is forgotten immediately by the speaker. Consciousness exists in layers. Like an ocean, surface waves represent active thought, the internal monologue you're hearing right now. Deeper currents represent emotion and intuition, feelings that arise without verbal thought. The ocean floor represents unconscious processes, memories, instincts, and automatic functions beyond awareness. Sometimes contents from deep layers surface. A forgotten memory suddenly appears. An intuitive knowing emerges. A dream brings buried emotion into conscious view. you're mostly aware of the surface, occasionally catching glimpses of the depths. Meditation, therapy, and dreams all serve as diving equipment, letting you explore deeper consciousness layers usually hidden from the everyday self. Your consciousness turns off and on all night. Sleep isn't one continuous state, but a series of cycles, each 90 to 100 to 10 minutes long. You cycle through stages: light sleep, deep sleep, REM. Repeatedly. Between cycles, you often briefly wake, sometimes opening eyes, adjusting position, then immediately forgetting. Studies show healthy sleepers wake 10 to 30 times per night without remembering. Your consciousness flickers on and off like a lighthouse beam, mostly off, briefly on, back off again. You only remember wakings longer than a minute or two. The rest vanish instantly, leaving no trace in memory. Athletes use visualization that activates the same brain regions as actual practice. When you vividly imagine performing an action, motor cortex neurons fire in patterns remarkably similar to actually doing it. This is why Olympic athletes mentally rehearse their events. It's why surgeons visualize procedures before operating. Your consciousness can create experiences with real neural effects. Imagining builds neural pathways. This is powerful. You can improve skills through focused mental practice. It also suggests that imagination and reality aren't completely separate. Both create neural patterns. Both shape your brain. Consciousness transforms thought into physical structure. Sleep inertia, grogginess upon waking, can last up to 4 hours. That foggy feeling isn't just you being slow. It's measurable cognitive impairment as your brain transitions from sleep to wake states. Different brain regions wake up at different rates. Your sleep-regulating systems might want to keep sleeping while your wake-promoting systems try to activate. During this liminal period, decision-making is poor, reaction times are slow, and complex tasks feel impossible. This is why important decisions shouldn't be made immediately after waking. Give your consciousness time to fully assemble itself. The complete you takes time to arrive each morning. Consciousness can split temporarily during extreme stress. Dissociation, feeling detached from yourself or reality, is a protective mechanism. People describe watching themselves from outside, feeling dreamlike unreality, or experiencing emotional numbness. This happens during trauma, panic attacks, or severe stress. Your brain essentially creates psychological distance from overwhelming experiences. From an evolutionary perspective, it makes sense. If you can't fight or flee, disconnecting from the horror might help survival. Dissociation reminds us that the unified self is constructed and can be deconstructed temporarily when necessary. Your consciousness has emergency protocols most people never need. Dreams incorporate external stimuli creatively. Spraying sleepers with water causes dreams about rain, swimming, or waterfalls. Flashing lights produce dreams with fireworks, lightning, or cameras. Your sleeping brain continuously monitors the external environment, weaving sensations into dream narratives. This creative integration happens seamlessly, maintaining sleep while acknowledging reality. It's why alarm clocks often appear in dreams before waking you. Your consciousness is trying to explain the sound without fully waking. This also means you're never completely disconnected from the physical world during sleep. a thin thread of awareness remains, translating body and environment into symbolic dream language. Consciousness might be nature's solution to the prediction problem. Life requires predicting the future, where food will be, what dangers lurk, what actions will bring rewards. Simple organisms use reflexes. Complex organisms use consciousness. Being aware lets you simulate possible futures, imagine consequences, and choose actions deliberately. Consciousness is evolution's ultimate prediction engine. This framework explains why consciousness evolved, not for experiencing sunsets or pondering existence, but for making better predictions to survive. The poetry and pain of awareness might be side effects of sophisticated prediction machinery. We feel because feeling improves prediction, and prediction improves survival. You can train your consciousness like a muscle. Attention, emotional regulation, and metacognition all improve with practice. Studies from 2024 show that sustained attention meditation increases gray matter in attention networks. Loving-kindness meditation enhances empathy circuits. Body scan practices improve interoception, awareness of internal body states. These aren't metaphorical improvements. They're measurable, structural, and functional brain changes. Your consciousness isn't fixed at birth. It's plastic, responsive to training. The way you habitually use your mind shapes what your mind becomes. Practicing kindness makes you kinder. Practicing focus makes you more focused. Consciousness sculpts itself through repeated use. Sleep loss accumulates as sleep debt that must be repaid. Missing 2 hours of sleep per night for a week creates a 14-hour deficit. You can't fully recover with one long sleep session. Research shows it takes several nights of extended sleep to restore normal function. Meanwhile, accumulated sleep debt impairs judgment, reaction time, and emotional stability. Chronic sleep debt contributes to obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and early mortality. Your body keeps accounts. You can't cheat sleep indefinitely. Eventually, consciousness demands its unconscious counterpart. The bill always comes due. Consciousness might not be uniquely human. Octopuses, with brains structured completely differently from ours, display complex problem-solving, tool use, and even playfulness. Birds like crows and parrots show metacognition, thinking about their thinking. Elephants mourn their dead. Dolphins recognize themselves in mirrors. While we can't know what their subjective experience feels like, evidence suggests various forms of consciousness exist across species. Each evolved different solutions to similar problems. This suggests consciousness isn't one thing, but a spectrum of solutions. We're not alone in awareness. We share the cosmos with other minds, each experiencing existence through different evolutionary windows. Your consciousness has a narrator that confabulates freely. When people with split brains are shown images only to their non-verbal hemisphere and asked what they saw, their verbal hemisphere, which genuinely didn't see anything, invents explanations. The conscious narrator doesn't say, "I don't know." It makes up stories that sound plausible. You do this too. When asked why you chose something, you construct reasons that feel true, but may be fabrications. Your consciousness is less like a scientist recording facts and more like a novelist creating coherent narratives from fragmented information. Sleep paralysis affects about 8% of people, being awake but temporarily unable to move, sometimes with unusual sensory experiences. It happens during transitions between sleep stages when timing briefly misaligns. Your brain, conscious but receiving mixed signals, may generate vivid impressions to make sense of the unusual sensation. Across cultures, people describe similar experiences, sensing mysterious presences in the room. Understanding it's a temporary sleep phenomenon rather than something threatening can significantly ease the experience if it happens. Knowing the science behind it transforms a potentially frightening moment into something explainable and manageable. We now understand that consciousness and sleep form a continuous loop, not opposing states. Consciousness emerges from biological processes that require rest. Sleep emerges from biological processes that require activity. Each creates conditions for the other. Your awareness depends on neurons that accumulate cellular stress during thinking. Clearing that stress requires sleep. Your sleep depends on homeostatic pressure that builds during waking. Without sufficient waking time, sleep becomes fragmented and unrewarding. The circle is complete, unbreakable. Fighting one disrupts both. Honoring both creates harmony. You're beginning to understand this deep rhythm now. Your emotions are forms of consciousness with physical signatures. Fear accelerates heartbeat, redirects blood, sharpens senses. Joy releases dopamine, relaxes muscles, widens attention. Sadness slows movement, turns attention inward, conserves energy. Each emotion is a full body state, not just a brain event. This is why changing body posture changes mood. Standing tall reduces anxiety. Smiling activates happiness circuits. Your consciousness includes your entire organism. Thoughts affect flesh. Flesh affects thoughts. The boundary between mind and body is porous. You are unified being. Consciousness embodied. Thought made flesh. Dreams may be the price of brain plasticity. The overfitted brain hypothesis, proposed in 2024, suggests dreams randomize neural connections to prevent overfitting. When brains become too specialized to recent experiences and lose flexibility, like machine learning systems that need noise injection to avoid rigid patterns, your brain uses dreams to maintain adaptability. Bizarre dream narratives break rigid associations, preserving creativity and generalization ability. This explains why dreams are strange. Randomness is the point. Your consciousness purposefully generates chaos during sleep to maintain daytime flexibility. Consciousness might extend beyond individual moments. Some philosophers argue you're not the same person who fell asleep last night. That person ceased to exist, and a new consciousness with inherited memories emerged this morning. Yet subjectively, you feel continuous. This continuity is constructed by memory linking moments into narrative. Without memory, like in severe amnesia, consciousness exists only in the present. Each moment is new, with no past or future. Memory creates the illusion of a continuous self stretching through time. You are not one consciousness experiencing many moments, but many moments threaded together by memory. Sleep isn't passive waiting, it's active creation. During sleep, your brain doesn't rest. It transforms. Neural connections strengthen or weaken based on importance. Memories transfer from temporary hippocampal storage to permanent cortical networks. Emotional charges soften or intensify. Creative associations form. Cellular waste clears. Immune function strengthens. Hormones balance. Sleep is reconstructive work, rebuilding the system for another day's use. Consciousness tomorrow depends on unconsciousness tonight. You're not losing time when sleeping. You're investing time in maintenance that makes consciousness possible. Sleep is sacred work, even though you're not aware of it happening. Pain exists only in consciousness. There's no pain without awareness. Tissue damage sends signals, but suffering requires conscious experience. This is why anesthesia eliminates pain even though tissue damage occurs during surgery. It's why distraction reduces pain. Consciousness can't attend fully to both. Chronic pain patients sometimes describe feeling pain but not minding it. A strange dissociation between sensation and suffering. Meditation practices can create this gap. Observing pain sensations without the usual emotional reaction. Pain reminds us that consciousness isn't just thinking, it's feeling, suffering, and interpreting physical existence. Your consciousness creates your sense of free will, which may be illusory. Brain activity predicting your choice appears seconds before you consciously decide. This doesn't mean you're not free, but it complicates the question of who is choosing. Maybe consciousness is the experience of decisions, not the decision maker. Maybe free will is the feeling of authorship over actions determined by unconscious processes. Or maybe consciousness operates at different timescales than we assume. Regardless, the subjective experience of choosing matters. It creates responsibility, meaning, and agency, even if the mechanics differ from intuition. Sleep spindles, brief bursts of brain activity during sleep, predict intelligence and learning ability. People with more frequent, stronger spindles score higher on IQ tests and learn new information faster. According to 2024 research, these spindles, lasting 1 to 2 seconds, help transfer information from short-term to long-term memory. You can't consciously control them, but they work while you sleep, consolidating everything you learned today. Some researchers are exploring ways to enhance spindles through auditory stimulation during sleep, potentially boosting learning. Your sleeping brain might be smarter than your waking one. Consciousness may continue briefly during cardiac arrest. Some cardiac arrest survivors report awareness during periods when brain activity was supposedly minimal. Recent research, including a 2024 study from NYU Langone, explores these reports carefully. Scientists continue studying whether brief neural patterns might persist unmeasured, or if other factors are involved. The findings are complex and require careful interpretation, acknowledging both the limitations of current measurement tools and the profound questions these experiences raise. Either way, the transition between conscious and unconscious states appears more gradual than once thought, reminding us how much remains to understand about consciousness at life's boundaries. Your default mode network, active during rest and mind wandering, might be where you live. This network activates when you're not focused on external tasks, remembering past, imagining future, thinking about yourself and others. It's where self-reflection happens, where identity resides. Depression, anxiety, and rumination involve overactive default networks. Meditation quiets it. Psychedelics temporarily disrupt it, causing ego dissolution. The default mode network might be the neural basis of the self, the constructed sense of being a continuous person with history and future. Consciousness of the world happens elsewhere. Consciousness of yourself happens here. Sleep and consciousness have taught us profound truth. You are not separate from nature's rhythms. You are them. The light-dark cycle, the circadian tide, the oscillation between awareness and oblivion. These aren't external forces acting on you. They're expressions of what you fundamentally are. Consciousness emerges from biology following ancient patterns. Your awareness participates in cycles older than human civilization, older than our species, ancient as life itself. Resisting sleep resists your nature. Embracing both waking and sleeping embraces wholeness. You're learning to trust the rhythm now, feeling it, allowing it. You might be feeling tired now. That's perfectly natural, perfectly right. Breathe slowly and feel the cycles everywhere. Your breath. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. A small rhythm within vast cosmic rhythms. Day follows night. Night follows day. Sleeping follows waking. Waking follows sleeping. Seasons turn. Tides flow. Hearts beat. Lungs breathe. All are circles. Cycles. Endless orbits of existence. You are part of that eternal movement. Not separate from it, made of it. You don't need to hold on to anything. Everything unfolds in perfect order, like planets silently rotating in their orbits. Unhurried, unresisting, simply existing. Let yourself flow with the natural rhythm pulling you toward rest. We're almost there now. Consciousness is a gift you give yourself each morning. When you wake, awareness assembles itself from neural networks scattered across your brain. Memories reconnect. Your sense of self returns. The person you were yesterday reconstitutes through biological processes. Nothing guarantees this will happen. Brain injury, disease, or death could interrupt the pattern. Each morning you regain consciousness is a small miracle. Complex systems realigning successfully once again. Tomorrow morning, notice this gift, the simple fact of awareness returning. Welcome yourself back. Sleep is trust. Letting go of consciousness requires trusting you'll return. Animals that sleep are vulnerable, unable to detect predators, find food, or escape danger. Yet sleep is so vital that evolution preserved it despite massive survival costs. You inherited this trust. Each night, you surrender control. Close your eyes. Release awareness, believing you'll wake again. This trust is ancient, deeper than thought. Your body knows how to let go. Your consciousness knows how to fade. Trust the wisdom. Dreams show you who you are beneath words. In dreams, you think in images, emotions, sensations. Primal languages older than speech. The concerns appearing in dreams reveal what truly matters to you. Stripped of social performance. If you dream about being late, you value reliability. If you dream about flying, you crave freedom. Dreams bypass conscious filters, showing unvarnished self. They're honest mirrors, reflecting authentic desires and fears your waking mind might deny. Consciousness is relationship. You're only aware in context. Aware of something. Aware with someone. Aware within a situation. Pure consciousness without content might be impossible, or at least unrecognizable. This means you're fundamentally relational, not isolated. Your awareness exists in connection to your body, your environment, your memories, other beings. When loneliness feels painful, it's because consciousness is built for connection. You're not meant to be alone in awareness. Sleep deprivation makes the world feel less real. Colors dull. Sounds flatten. Emotions numb. This isn't imagination. It's measurable reduced sensory processing. Your exhausted brain simplifies inputs to conserve energy. The richness of conscious experience depends on resources sleep provides. When well rested, reality blooms in full detail. Birdsong sounds sweeter. Food tastes richer. Beauty strikes deeper. Sleep doesn't just restore you. It restores reality itself, returning the world to full vividness. You share consciousness with others through language. When someone describes their experience, you simulate it in your own mind using mirror systems and imagination. Their consciousness briefly activates similar patterns in yours. Reading someone's words right now, you're experiencing a form of their thought, recreated in your neural networks. Consciousness isn't perfectly private. It leaks, shares, merges through communication. Every conversation is partial mind melding, temporary merging of separate awareness. Forgetting is as important as remembering. Your brain actively erases unnecessary information during sleep to prevent overload. Trivial details fade, while meaningful patterns persist. This sculpting of memory creates wisdom. Knowing what matters, without forgetting, consciousness would drown in irrelevant data. Every parking space, every meal, every passing face remembered equally would paralyze decision-making. Forgetting is merciful editing, allowing significance to emerge from noise. Consciousness feels like something because it is something. Specific physical patterns in your brain. The mystery isn't that consciousness exists, but why particular patterns create particular experiences. Why does red feel like red and not like blue? Why does pain feel painful? Science can map the patterns but can't yet explain the feeling. This hard problem may never be fully solved. Some mysteries remain even as knowledge grows. Sleep is creativity's wellspring. Rested minds generate more ideas, see more possibilities, make unexpected connections. Exhausted minds rigidly repeat familiar patterns. Your most original thoughts arrive after good sleep. When neural networks are flexible and playful, writers, artists, inventors protect sleep fiercely because they understand consciousness needs unconsciousness to remain creative. The next breakthrough in your life may be gestating right now in dreams, forming connections waking mind can't make. You are consciousness temporarily located in this particular body. Someday this arrangement will end. The matter will remain, returning to Earth. But the pattern creating awareness will dissolve. This isn't morbid. It's perspective. Knowing consciousness is temporary makes each moment more precious. Right now, you exist. You are aware. You experience existence unfolding. That awareness, happening now, is the miracle. not the duration, but the fact itself. Sleep answers the question consciousness cannot. How to let go. Your waking mind clings to problems, worries, identities, control. Sleep teaches release. Every night, you practice dying temporarily, surrendering everything, and discover you return renewed. This nightly teaching is profound. Letting go doesn't mean losing yourself. It means trusting the cycle, release and return, dissolving and reforming, death and rebirth in miniature. Practiced safely every 24 hours. Consciousness might be how the universe experiences beauty without awareness. Stars would shine unseen. Mountains would rise unappreciated. Music would vibrate unheard. Your consciousness transforms physical phenomena into experience. Light becomes color. Vibration becomes sound. Molecules become scent. You are matter that learned to appreciate matter. Atoms admiring atoms. The cosmos witnessing itself through temporary windows, called awareness. This is your purpose. To notice, to feel, to wonder. Your sleeping brain creates entire worlds nightly. Characters appear. Conversations unfold. Landscapes emerge. All generated from within. These dream worlds feel real while experienced. Complete with sights, sounds, even physical sensations. Yet they vanish upon waking, like morning mist. Your mind is endlessly creative, constructing realities from memory fragments and imagination. The sleeping brain isn't resting, it's creating, exploring possibilities waking life never offers. Consciousness might be the most complex phenomenon in the universe. 3 pounds of tissue generating awareness, emotion, thought, creativity, love, all from electrical and chemical signals. Nothing in known cosmos matches this complexity. Black holes, galaxies, quantum mechanics. Impressive, but not conscious. Only in brains does matter become aware of itself. You carry this complexity inside your skull, mostly unaware of your own extraordinariness. Consciousness. Noticing consciousness is the universe's strangest achievement. So could consciousness and sleep transform how we understand existence they already have? They reveal that being isn't about control or constant awareness. Being includes surrender, cycles, trust in rhythms beyond choice. You are not just your waking self. You're the full circle, the complete rhythm. Consciousness and unconsciousness together create wholeness. Neither can exist alone. Both are necessary. This understanding changes everything about how to live. Sleep is when your body remembers it's made of earth. Heart rate slows to match ancient rhythms. Breathing deepens like tides. Temperature drops like nighttime cooling. You return to the natural world's pace, synchronized with planet instead of clocks. In sleep, you're not separate from nature. You are nature, expressing itself through human form, following laws written before cities existed. Your consciousness right now is different from minutes ago. Awareness shifts constantly, sometimes sharp and focused, sometimes soft and diffuse. Thoughts come and go like clouds. Emotions rise and fade like waves. Nothing mental is permanent. Even your sense of self fluctuates. Noticing this impermanence brings peace. if everything changes, difficult feelings will pass. If everything changes, resistance is unnecessary. Just watch the flow. Sleep is the original meditation. Attention turning inward. External world fading. Thoughts dissolving into formlessness. You've been practicing non-attachment every night of your life without realizing, letting go of the day. Releasing identity. Surrendering to void. Each morning proves you can survive dissolution and return. Sleep teaches that consciousness isn't fragile. It's resilient, flexible, capable of complete release and full return. The boundary between conscious and unconscious is gossamer thin. You cross it twice daily. Falling asleep, waking up. Sometimes you catch yourself in transition, aware of awareness fading or returning. That twilight moment holds strange beauty, neither fully here nor fully gone, suspended between worlds. It reveals that the line between being and not being isn't sharp, it's gradient, soft, permeable. You exist across that gradient, at home in both realms. Consciousness and sleep together answer life's deepest question: how to be. The answer isn't constant striving or perpetual rest. It's rhythm, movement and stillness, awareness and release, holding and letting go. Life breathes, in and out, waking and sleeping, doing and being. Neither alone is complete. Together, they create wholeness. You are the breath, the rhythm, the dance between opposites creating balance. Right now, consciousness is gently dimming, like daylight fading. This is natural, beautiful, safe. Your thoughts are slowing, becoming softer, less urgent. The grip of awareness loosens willingly, without fear. You've done this thousands of times. Your body knows the way. Your mind knows how to fade. Nothing is lost in sleep. Everything valuable is kept. Everything unnecessary released. Sleep welcomes you like returning home after long journey. The familiar darkness, the soft dissolution, the peaceful nothingness. You've been here before. You'll be here again tomorrow night. This isn't ending, it's transformation. Temporary shift. The other half of being. Welcome the transition. Let consciousness hand you over to sleep's care. Trusting completely in the exchange. The real change isn't in understanding consciousness or sleep. It's in you, accepting both. Not fighting tiredness. Not feeling guilty for needing rest. Understanding that your full self includes awareness and its absence. Waking and dreaming. Activity and surrender. You are complete only when honoring both states. This acceptance brings peace deeper than knowledge. Every conscious moment is precious because it's temporary. Every sleep is sacred because it restores consciousness. The two need each other. Honor both. Respect both. Trust both. You are not just your waking self working, achieving, doing. You are also your sleeping self healing, dreaming, becoming. Both selves are you. Both deserve love. And so we arrive here, at the end and the beginning. 100 facts about consciousness and sleep have carried you toward this moment. The moment where understanding becomes experience, where knowledge dissolves into feeling. You don't need to remember everything. The journey itself changed you. Now let consciousness release its hold, gently, gratefully, into sleep's waiting embrace. And so, our quiet journey through consciousness and sleep comes to a gentle close. We've traveled from the waking moment, when neurons first fire in morning light, to the edge of dreams, where thoughts dissolve into formless rest. Discovering along the way that awareness and sleep are not enemies, but partners in an ancient dance. From the moment you wake each day to the moment sleep reclaims you each night, we've glimpsed how consciousness is both everything you are and just one phase of what you are. The full rhythm, waking and sleeping, awareness and release, creates the wholeness of being human. Consciousness and sleep remind us that life isn't about constant control or endless awareness. Much of what heals us, teaches us, and transforms us happens in silence, in darkness. In the hours when we surrender completely, they teach us trust. Trust in cycles, trust in release, trust in return. Without sleep, consciousness cannot sustain itself. Without consciousness, sleep has no purpose. By honoring both, we honor our complete nature. And now, in these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can. Think about the unity of everything, every moment of awareness, every moment of sleep, every breath, every heartbeat, all part of one continuous stream called your life. You are not separate from this rhythm. You are the rhythm itself. Consciousness and unconsciousness flowing into each other endlessly. Think about consciousness itself. Yours, mine, everyone listening. All awareness everywhere. Perhaps all connected in ways we don't yet understand. You are not alone in the universe of minds. Let your entire being dissolve into the ocean of consciousness, into dreamless rest, into the space before thought, into the peaceful void where awareness lets go and simply rests. Prepare for deep sleep. No boundaries left, only peace. If this thoughtful exploration of the mind made you feel less alone, whisper it forward to someone awake tonight. It may bring comfort to one more wandering consciousness, one quiet share at a time. But there's no need to do anything now, nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, through 100 gentle facts about consciousness and sleep. You can allow these thoughts to fade now, like stars disappearing into morning light, leaving only the peaceful calm behind. Let your breathing deepen naturally. Let your body feel heavier, as if gravity itself is gently pulling you down into your bed, into the earth, into rest. If sleep comes, let it carry you like a river flowing to the ocean, smoothly, inevitably, into a realm where time and weight and thought no longer matter. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm and welcoming. Tomorrow, consciousness will return. Thoughts will emerge again like flowers opening to sunlight. But tonight belongs to stillness. Tonight belongs to sleep. Tonight belongs to the part of you that heals without trying, that knows without thinking. That simply is. Rest well, peaceful traveler, and remember, you are not just the consciousness that wakes, you are also the peace that sleeps. Both are home. Fall asleep to gentle facts about consciousness, where science meets sleep and awareness finds rest. Good night.